Farm Trucker weather forecast with meteorologist Mike Hurd.
Well, we have to analyze the big picture view to give a clue on what's expected over the next 5 to 7 days. And we got a couple of things of interest. First, this high pressure ridge is usually parked across the western United States this time of the year, and that's going to help draw up some of the heat. We saw temperatures today reaching the upper 80s and lower 90s. That's likely to continue for a couple more days. But if that's too hot for you, there are some changes down the road. Starting Wednesday, we'll start to pick up the leading edge of this upper level trough, a couple of cold fronts, a little bit of weak storm energy in there as well. And that's definitely going to be pushing some cooler air back across Montana by the time we get into the end of the week and towards the weekend. So for the next 24 hours, we're dominated by this ridge pattern and a lot of heat building along with it. Now, by the time we get into Wednesday, still looks like it's pretty hot out there, but as we get this first cold front nudging in a little bit from the west, we'll start to pick up some stronger surface winds. So the combination of heat and wind will likely bring some fire weather concerns across the state of Montana Wednesday afternoon and evening. There could be a few isolated showers and thunderstorms with this Wednesday evening into Thursday, but once you get behind that front, we start to see a cooler weather pattern take its place by the end of the week and the weekend. So right now we're concerned about relative humidity values coming down. We're down into the teens and 20% range here across most areas, not all, but still we have temperatures right now in the 80s and 90s along with that lower relative humidity. So use extreme caution with your outdoor activities. As you look at temperatures, we're in the 80s and 90s out across the western half of the state. Lots of low to mid 80s here locally, but it's approaching 100 degrees right now in Billings and lots of upper and mid 90s there in central and eastern counties. So lots of 80s to low 90s here locally, but there are some hot spots across the state. So for tonight, generally clear. It won't be quite as cool as the hotter temperatures today. We'll slow that cooling process down. I've got 40s and 50s in there for most overnight lows under generally clear skies. Tomorrow, we're trying to push those numbers back up into the mid to upper 80s, maybe a few low 90s in the mix, and mostly sunny. We'll call it hot. We'll call it dry. Winds around 5 to 15, generally out of the west-southwest. As you move southward, mostly in the 50s, but there are a few 40s sprinkled in here under generally clear skies and light winds. And tomorrow, max numbers are back up there in the upper 80s, approaching some low 90s in some areas, but there will be exceptions along the way. But generally another hot, dry day tomorrow across the entire southwest corner of the state. So as you look at the extended forecast, again, very close to the lower 90s for Bozeman for a day or two, but we'll bring some increasing wind by Wednesday afternoon. We'll start to slip a little bit behind that front, but still quite windy, and an isolated chance for a thunderstorm Wednesday evening into Thursday. Really low on the probability, but look at the cooler highs and lows coming in by the weekend. Early next week will fall all the way down into the low 80s, which is about where we should be, and lows will generally stay in that low 50 range. For Butte, not expecting a lot of moisture here, but a cold front will pass through sometime Wednesday into Thursday. Drier over the weekend with temperatures hovering in the upper 70s to low 80s and lots of 40s and 50s at night. Dillon, hot for a couple of days, and then we slip into the 70s and 80s, more pleasant by the time we get into Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Lows generally mix of 40s and 50s. And finally for West Yellowstone, mostly dry here as well. In fact, pushing upper 80s for you Tuesday into Wednesday, but more seasonal numbers are likely by Thursday into the weekend with low 40s for most lows.
All right, thank you very much, Mike. Nick Petriccioni's back in the sports house, so to speak. And we're not just talking motocross, we're talking supercross.
And we take a look at a Whitehall rider who battled a bunch of injuries to get his way back onto the track.